Hello and welcome to a special December edition of Essential Cardano360, looking back at just some of the news and developments from across the Cardano ecosystem in 2024. It's been an incredible year for Cardano's growth, and we couldn't hope to do full justice to it here, but we'll try and capture some of the highlights. And if you're watching on YouTube or X, do make sure you drop your thoughts below. What were the key moments, initiatives or new developments for you, and what would you like to see most in 2025? While you're at it, if you're watching on YouTube, please remember to subscribe and hit that bell icon and the thumbs up. It all helps with the algorithm and gets more people seeing this show. So as 2024 draws to a close, it's that time of year when we can look back, take stock, reflect and recognise everything this incredible community has accomplished over the last 12 months. So take a seat, grab your drink of choice, and as we look forward to an exciting new year, let's look back at 2024. 7 years ago, few of us could imagine what this community would become. And many times the skeptics seem to outnumber, or at least shout louder, than the believers. But 7 years on, Cardano continues to prove them wrong. At Cardano's core lies a shared belief in building technology with purpose, on the most robust of foundations, pioneered and championed by a dedicated and passionate community. So now in its 7th year, Cardano continues to deliver on its promise: security, scalability, interoperability, all underpinned by rigorous peer-reviewed research. From Byron to Shelley, Gauguin to Basho, and now Voltaire, Cardano's journey has redefined how we approach emerging technologies. It's reshaped how we advocate for blockchain's rightful place in our digital infrastructure, how we drive for mainstream adoption through genuine organic growth, and how we build ethical communities bound by a constitution created, refined, and ratified by its people. So how do we reach this milestone? The Chang upgrade, the first part of which was introduced on September the 1st, set the stage for transformative change. A consultation process of nearly 2 years culminated in the historic constitutional conventions held in Buenos Aires and Nairobi just weeks ago. Now in the age of Voltaire, Cardano embraces the promise of governance by the many, for the many, not the few. The Chang upgrade stands as the most consequential in Cardano's history, laying the foundation for a governance system unparalleled in the cryptocurrency world, one that applies the principles of a democratic constitutional republic to a blockchain ecosystem. Today, the world is paying attention. Cardano is recognised not just as a blockchain, but as a true ecosystem of builders, of entrepreneurs, of users, operating on foundations of unparalleled reliability and security. It's a technical platform steadily becoming a digital nation, expanding to new horizons, building bridges to other ecosystems, and offering a compelling vision for newcomers, seasoned crypto enthusiasts, and technology pioneers alike. The creativity and drive coming from Cardano's developer community and the passion of the community's strongest leaders continue to set the stage for exciting new growth in 2025 and beyond. With each new contribution and collaboration that we see come to Cardano, every community member's picking up a shovel, every new leader stepping up. We're not just building technology, we're shaping the future of decentralized development. Here at IO, we're pushing the boundaries of what's possible with blockchain technology. That's what we're committed to. And for us, that starts with research. In 2024, the IO research team passed the significant milestone of 10,000 citations of its published papers to make it the leading blockchain academic group in the worldwide research community. The research library now contains over 200 peer-reviewed published papers involving more than 150 academics. Around 50 of these papers are core to Cardano's 5 development phases, providing the foundational research that's helped shape Cardano today and looks forwards to its future. Research provides the bedrock to future building, and we started 2024 on that theme. On January the 26th, the University of Edinburgh hosted QSig, a research event that brought together academics and industry experts to explore an exciting and developing field of computer science. The event, together with Input-Output, the Cardano Foundation and the Ethereum Foundation, ignited a conversation around how novel technologies can come together to transform our existing systems. The idea that cryptographic primitives, enabled specifically by quantum technologies, could address long-standing challenges in blockchain design and security was enough of a promise for our industry to break down some of the tribalism we face daily and come together to understand how we can drive this technology forward, driving it forward not just for Cardano but for the industry as a whole. These tenets have been embedded into the very core ethos of Cardano, a desire to collaborate and be interoperable with other networks, to push the boundaries of what's possible and solve some of the most challenging hurdles our world faces today. We saw that cross-chain goal come to life at Rare Evo 2024. At Rare Evo, it wasn't just about the tech, it was about building bridges, connecting projects, communities, investors and industry leaders.
You've been to all the Rare Evos, and we're not going to miss another one.
That collaborative approach that they bring to the industry, you just don't really see a lot.
We are definitely very community-driven.
Pretty much everybody knows everybody. And if you don't, you're going to know them in 2 minutes, and you're going to know them forever.
I've met so many people that are from so many different cultures.
You end up learning perspectives from somebody that you would have never met.
Just so many incredible people here, a lot of friends, a lot of innovation.
There's a lot of casual geniuses. You just bump into them.
Back here on the IOG booth.
We're live from Rare Evo, day number 2. I've got 2 masterminds here from the Cardano community.
The original ethos of Cardano is to connect the unconnected, banking the unbanked.
The thing that allows Cardano to take the different direction that it does in the industry is we focus on the problems of the world.
The thing that I think sets Cardano apart is the Cardano community, but also the technology under the hood is very impressive.
And this is a live view of the Cardano network. It's just incredible to see how far things have grown, all the cross-blockchain collaboration. Hydra is now running Doom. Every frame is a transaction.
The Doom demo really illustrates like how fast Hydra can be.
And we announced a $100,000 death match that we're gonna try to figure out how to get done at the Cardano Summit. The paper wallet generator for Lace is finally live. And what we decided to do is partner with Moneta, and we put $1 million worth of USDM into a paper wallet. And if you can hack it, you can keep it. It's a bug bounty.
Input-output is working towards a better future for humanity, empowered by blockchain technology.
It's never been a better time to be in the ecosystem.
Change starts with dialogue and an understanding of where we're at, but also an acknowledgement of where we can go in the future. Charles said it best in Tokyo. Technology is the key driver of social progress. When new technology comes about, it inspires people to look at the world differently, think about the world differently, to talk to each other differently, to think about themselves differently.
Technology is the key driver of social progress. When new technology comes about, it inspires people to look at the world differently, think about the world differently, to talk to each other differently, to think about themselves differently. So what the cryptocurrency space has been about, at the heart of it, it's really about the technology, an exponential technology, a technology few people can build, but it impacts the lives of billions, that allows you to start talking around how do you rewrite the DNA of the economic, political, and social systems of the world as a whole.
And so back to the birthplace of Cardano, Japan, and then on to Singapore, where Charles tapped into the future of our ecosystem, where harnessing the wisdom and capabilities of millions of people throughout the world, the wisdom of crowds would become our very existence as a community at the Constitutional Convention in December.
When you have scalability, it means it's cheap to use the systems for millions of people. When you have interoperability, it means your systems talk to each other. You can truly build an internet of money. You can build an internet of finance. That's awesome. And when you have governance, it means you harness the wisdom and the capabilities of millions of people throughout the world, the wisdom of the crowds. So the fourth generation, the generation that's going to merge the legacy and the Web3 world and bring billions of consumers in, really the 2 big pillars of this is, in addition to being scalable and interoperable and having good governance and programmability and decentralization, must have privacy, private smart contracts, and must have some concept of identity.
It should come as no surprise after the Asia tour that everyone was asking what comes next for Cardano. Well, this year has truly been a cornerstone for governance and community-driven development, with over 60 workshops around the world, community members discussing, debating, and shaping the ideals they wanted to see captured in the Cardano Constitution. 2024 sparked a year of progress and collaboration, giving hope to a world that felt ever more atomized and disconnected. That's why ahead of the convention in December, Charles and the team at I.O. took an advance party to Argentina to lay out a vision for what might come next. His keynote address, after Voltaire, the next evolution of Cardano, Charles proposed what the next chapter of Cardano could look like. Alongside the tenets draft, this ushered in the final weeks ahead of the Constitutional Convention.
This event, for me, is a great opportunity to get to know people, and you get to know them by person. I believe for this kind of events, it create even more opportunities when there is already a big community that can grow even larger.
It's really exciting that Cardano is getting more and more involved here in Argentina. These past days, we created meetings with different crypto organizations and tech organizations that maybe can help in some kind of development, and not only development, but also engaging with the local community. The future is happening now. We are building the future, all of us.
But before we dive deeper into the convention, let's take a look back at one of the biggest technological highlights of the year, hitting 1 million TPS on Hydra and slaying some of that FUD in the process. Hydra Doom was first showcased at Rare Evo 2024 in Las Vegas this summer and received a rapturous welcome from the community. But what is Hydra Doom? And indeed, what is Hydra? Well, in April, Sebastian Nagel gave us an update on Hydra and discussed some of the critical infrastructure improvements that would ultimately help shape the tournament that we're about to see. So I think since we last spoke to you, there's been 6 further versions of Hydra. Can you tell us what's in the latest update?
There has been a boatload of features we added over the year. So it was not only about improving networking between Hydra nodes, making them more secure and more resilient, but also adding convenience API features for what you can commit into a Hydra head, integrating with indexes like Kupo, and writing tutorials. Just lately, we also launched the Hydra Explorer, already indexing Hydra heads on the Essential Net, which we will expand onto other networks soon. Most notably, we also got contributions by Sunday Labs in the last couple of releases. So they were adding offline mode for Hydra, where you can use the Hydra node as a ledger as a service if you want so, to individually validate transactions as you go. Also to easily extend the Hydra node using streaming plugins, and lots of several other contributions by non-IoT contributors, which we're very happy about.
So since it was first introduced as a research paper, Hydra has always been heralded, or in fact hyped by many, as the solution for bringing 1 million TPS to Cardano. So this was always the theoretical number, and we tried to manage expectations. Who knew it would take a classic video game to make it real? And after that first demo in August, Trim and Pi talked to Farid from Dapp Central about how Doom was the perfect way to demonstrate the scalability of Cardano.
So Hydra, if you aren't aware, is a layer 2 scalability solution for Cardano. The basic idea is, imagine we're playing a poker game. We all put $100 into a smart contract on the Cardano layer 1. Then we go off and play 100,000 games of poker. When we finish that, we only need to settle the final balance, right? Maybe Trim swept the floor with us and he has all $300 now. And we only need to settle that final balance without having to settle all 100,000 poker games or however many transactions that entails. So Trim had the idea, combine this meme of will it run Hydra with, or will it run Doom with Hydra, and reached out to Sunday Labs to do the contracting work. And so we built on, the IOG team building Hydra has spent 3 years building a really world-class piece of software. And so most of the excitement today, I kind of feel bad stealing their thunder, most of that is due to the incredible work that went into Hydra. But over the last month and a half or so, we built out a back end that would basically keep track of a fleet of Hydra heads and assign players to these different Hydra heads. So when somebody clicks new game, it picks the Hydra head with the least number of players on it and says, okay, that's your Hydra head, go and play a game on that. And what we got it to do is submit a transaction every single frame. So that's 35 times per second when you're playing. It's submitting a transaction to the Hydra head, which is validating the game rules. For the purposes of this demo, we're just validating like a simple kind of logic around your change in position to make sure you're not moving too fast. But in principle, you could implement more and more of the game engine and more of the rules of the game in the Hydra head. So it's really just a kind of fun and quirky tech demo to really show off what is a really serious piece of technology in Hydra that can scale vertically. So each Hydra head can handle hundreds of transactions per second, but also horizontally. So as we have more players, we can spin up more heads. And so, for example, from yesterday, we had 65 heads, and that kind of wasn't quite enough for the demand that we were seeing. So we scaled that up to 138 today. So yeah, and as of when we started this, we just crossed 45 million transactions submitted while we were here at Rare Bloom. It's something like 12 days total of playtime, several thousand, like tens of thousands of demons killed. So it's been a really impressive example of what Hydra can deliver.
Yeah, thanks for some of those numbers there, really sort of bringing the point home. One thing I'd love to hear a little bit more about is how easy is it to set up some of these heads, and how does this sort of help with scalability in the grand scheme of things, right? Cardano appears to be always getting picked on when it comes to speed, but it sounds like Hydra will be a part of the key, right, to really fixing that and how others outside of the ecosystem view us.
Yeah, well, the key thing there is that Cardano makes certain engineering trade-offs, and that's what it's always about, is what trade-offs are you making to get the piece of software that you have, right? So Solana sacrifices a lot on decentralization in favor of speed, right? Cardano really emphasizes that decentralization, that robust, global, all-access consensus, so anybody can participate in the Cardano protocol. And for those, incredible traits, it gives up on some of the speed. What Hydra provides is any economic activity, or even some non-economic activity, so just kind of anything that needs like this immutable event log of transactions, where you don't need kind of that global consensus. You can constrain it to a private set of people, just a small set of people. Hydra is great for. And one thing, you can compare it kind of most favorably maybe to the Bitcoin Lightning Network, right? Where Bitcoin implements these payment channels between peers by kind of operating in the same way, that poker game analogy. The big difference, though, is that Hydra is what, the fancy math term is isomorphic. And all that means is that it's using all of the same data formats, all of the same ledger model, all of the same transactions for the layer 2, the Hydra, as it is for the layer 1. Whereas Bitcoin Lightning Network, it's a whole different thing. And so if you want to build a piece of software that uses the Bitcoin Lightning Network, you can't reuse all of that stuff that went into integrating with Bitcoin. And so, for example, we were able to reuse Lucid in the early days of this project to get up and running fast, to just build transactions for Hydra. And we didn't have to invent a new kind of transaction format.
And of course, during the Hydra Doom Tournament Global Gaming Qualifier, Hydra did indeed reach an unprecedented 1 million TPS on a global scale, marking a significant leap in blockchain scalability while showcasing Hydra's potential to redefine what's possible in decentralized systems. It's been an exciting 6 months for the Hydra team, and I know we're all looking forward to the tournament finals in Las Vegas in early 2025. Hydra, along with Mithril, Ouroboros, P2P networking and beyond, are all testaments to the groundbreaking research being conducted around the world through IO's research initiatives and the university partnerships that are helping shape the future of our industry. But understanding the relationship between research, engineering and development isn't an easy task. We have to unlock the dynamic that takes us from the theoretical to the practicable. That requires an open dialogue where researchers and engineers can collaborate to address problems, but also understand the practical implications and the trade-offs of proposed solutions. And then there's the community-driven element. How do we bring all these stakeholders together to shape the future growth and development of technologies that enables Cardano's continued growth? In IO's Behind the Blockchain series, we looked at and started to unpack some of those dynamics and to dive deeper into what the process looks like.
Sometimes when you try to make more concrete the assumptions that we make in our papers, you discover new research problems that are actually interesting for us. One example is that the papers that describe for example, the Ouroboros protocol, they assume that the network is it's a very simplified network model. So you put a block or actually an entire chain in at one interface, and then there's a fixed time bound that
he loves it.
Yeah. You can see that it pains him, but yeah. So the idea is that everything gets delivered within a fixed time bound delta, the famous delta, and then of course this is not the case in reality. And in fact, it turns out that you can't just create a super nice consensus protocol and then run it on top of a network model that doesn't exist. And you can't just create a consensus layer that's secure against an adversary, but then the network layer that's supposed to be implemented by the same nodes that run the consensus, you cannot ignore the attacker there. So we recently wrote a paper that actually formally looked into proving security also for the networking layer.
Through this process of innovation, because we are trying to be very upfront about what we're doing and trying to work in the most transparent way, I think it's interesting to see that people from the partner ecosystem, for example, they come to us and say, what are the numbers we can expect, right? And now you have to give an answer. You have to, and so this forces us with both research and innovation to try to, what are the numbers?
Exactly, and they must be accurate, or you don't know how the production grade system then eventually will look like, but you need to be at the state where you have high confidence that the numbers you report, that's kind of in this order things will settle in the end. It's like you cannot, otherwise you build on false promises. So we have to make everything in our everything in our power, thanks to make sure we report numbers that later crucial decision can be.
But it's something that we have with this innovation process that we struggled to have in the past. When you go straight to the implementation and try to just go from idea to build the code that will be in production, you skip all this phase that allows you to have confidence in any figures, and that allows you to provide feedback more quickly than if you try to reach the final product directly. So having this iteration cycle in innovation allows us to provide more feedback to the users, to tell them where we are, what we can do, what are the options on the table as well.
And in line with this research, innovation and collaboration approach, last month we announced our collab with WellTyped and Sunday Labs to accelerate Ouroboros Leios. So stay close in 2025 for more on that. In 2023, we introduced Midnight, and 2024 has seen great progress. Midnight illustrates the high-integrity blockchain ethics that we've come to demand in our systems, but couples it with privacy options and selective disclosure so it can protect confidential user data and meet the practical demands of corporations. Charles explained that in the inaugural episode of the Unshielded podcast.
Blockchains keep saying we want real-world applications, we want real-world assets like real estate, securities, we want intellectual property, we want gold, we want businesses like DAOs to live on a blockchain. And it's kind of a funny notion because blockchains, the way that we grew up with in the olden days of blockchains, they're public transparent systems. So they are immutable and time-stamped and irreversible, and everybody can audit it, everybody can see the same things. Well, the problem is every modern business requires a public side and a private side. Even McDonald's, they don't tell you how much money's in the cash register or how many hours Jim is working at the cash register. That's proprietary information to the business. So then how can we decentralize everything and get all the businesses on a blockchain if that would then mean that we can no longer keep secrets? And so for me, it was very important to have a system that could do that, but do that in a way that preserves and protects one's freedom of association, commerce, and expression so that you can keep that high integrity blockchain ethics that we've all kind of gotten used to inside the space. So how do you put those two systems together? Because traditionally what we do as an industry is we say, oh, the private stuff will be off-chain. But if you need both, what that means is you've collapsed the entire system from a decentralized system to a centralized system with a gatekeeper. So it's decentralized until it isn't, and then you're completely at the mercy of a third-party actor, which is not what we signed up for. We signed up for a system that every component of it is decentralized, whether it be the privacy-preserving components of it, or the components that do the computation, or the components that store, or the components that audit and provide immutability and irreversibility. So the problem is, though, that when we started first working on this back in 2016, the industry wasn't ready in terms of the technology. So it took quite a bit of time and lots of papers and a lot of very careful thought about how do you bring this to market in a way that's global scale. And that's been a huge challenge. And Midnight is our most sophisticated and advanced team in terms of their thinking, the technology stack, and ultimately how to bring this to as many blockchains as possible.
Now, Midnight wasn't the only new initiative to build momentum this year. Input Output's mission has always been about transforming the systems of the world so they work for everyone, everywhere. Sentiments deeply embedded in the Cardano ethos. And to help drive IO's mission forward, in 2024 we launched RealFi, a suite of products aimed at bridging the gap in global finance.
RealFi is a business set up to drive more lending and more investment into emerging markets. It aims to solve the number one challenge faced by small businesses in emerging markets like Africa, which is access to finance. At RealFi, we believe that a business, whether it's in Nairobi, Bogota, should be able to raise off the strength of the actual business, no matter where they're located. And RealFi uses data to enable that to happen. If you think about the way in which Western economies work, a large amount of employment is really driven through large corporates. These are behemoth companies who can raise capital off public markets. And they're really who most people are employed by, if you were to think about somewhere like the UK. In emerging markets, it's pretty much the opposite. Over 70% of all jobs in emerging markets come from small businesses, or as the Americans would like to say, mom and pop businesses. And 50% of all GDP is driven by these companies, 1 to 5 sort of people. So when we think about what we can do to propel growth in emerging markets, it's really about making the fortunes of these small businesses better. And the number one way in which we can do that is access to capital. And that's the space in which RealFi operates.
Since its launch in 2021, Project Catalyst has ignited a revolution in decentralized innovation and distributed decision-making. An engine of growth for Cardano, it's been a journey fueled by passionate builders, toolmakers, creators, and engineers. And since its inception, Project Catalyst has served as a hub for community projects to receive the support they need to help grow not only their own projects, but also bring new capabilities to the wider ecosystem. This summer, the team released the first ever Project Catalyst Horizons report, detailing just some of the innovations that have come from the program and the impact that they've had on the global community. Let's take a look at what the team shared in September.
Hey everyone, Daniel and Chris here from the Catalyst team. Today we're diving into the newest and most exciting updates from the world of Catalyst. If Project Catalyst is new to you, let's take a moment to get everyone up to speed. Chris, can you fill us in, please?
Sure. So what is Project Catalyst? Well, Catalyst is really a revolutionized, decentralized innovation and distributed decision-making program. What does that mean? Well, it's a grant program like no other, where you guys in the community submit ideas to the Catalyst program, the community reviews all those proposals, and then ultimately votes to decide which of those proposals should go from their ideas into realized projects that are funded directly from the Cardano treasury. Over the last 4 years, we've funded nearly 1,900 projects from over 110 countries, which has amassed over 3 million votes from the community and allocated over $100 million worth of Cardano's native cryptocurrency ADA to those funded project teams. All in all, this is a great experiment in human collaboration.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Chris. Well, Catalyst has become really a thriving cornerstone of the Cardano ecosystem. Our team has recently released a special report packed with deep insights. Plus, there's been a buzz about the local Spotlight edition while Catalyst's been on tour. Chris, can you share more details about what this report is and where did we go?
Absolutely, Danny. Yeah, it's really our pleasure to proudly publish our first Catalyst Horizons report, which is a deep dive illustration of all of the hard work of our community of builders, creators, entrepreneurs, innovators, and visionaries, where we've taken the data set up until the end of Fund 11 and looked at how much impact has been created over the course of the last 4 years. So if you go to projectcatalyst.io, you'll be able to download the Catalyst Horizons report, where you'll get a real good insight into all of the different avenues and areas of innovation that the Cardano community has voted to approve funding for from the Cardano treasury. Just in the last few days, I've been very proud to be on tour with Input Output, visiting the Japan region and presenting the Catalyst Horizons report and a very special Japanese spotlight that deep dives into the region of Japan and how Japan is one of the most important producers of innovative ideas building out the Cardano ecosystem. So would you believe it, over 17 million ADA has been allocated to 110 projects from the Japan region. And again, I would encourage anyone that's interested to understand what's really going under the hood of the Catalyst corridors and machinery in action to go to projectcatalyst.io and take a look into the Japan Spotlight and the Horizons report more broadly to get a real flavour for all of the great things that are coming out of our ecosystem.
And in November, the Catalyst community celebrated 1,000 completed projects, allocating over $100 million to nearly 2,000 projects from Cardano builders, teams and individual contributors in over 100 countries. Reaching 1,000 completed projects is not just a number, it's a celebration of creativity, collaboration and perseverance. Each project has enhanced the Cardano community, empowered individuals and created solutions that address real-world challenges. Congratulations to each and every one of you in the Catalyst community. So here at I.O, we build products and services with a mission of giving back and paying forward as often as possible. That's why we publish our research papers, our white papers, and open source the majority of our code to help enable a new wave of developers to create innovative technologies tomorrow. And that's what we did this year with Atala Prism, turning over the code base to its developer community, working with the Hyperledger Foundation to help create Identus, a platform designed for businesses of all sizes that aim to incorporate standards-based decentralized identity into their applications. Of course, Input-Output was just one of many companies contributing to Cardano development this year, with multiple projects looking to help expand the capabilities and to grow the ecosystem over the last 12 months. Every month on 360, we try to showcase a few of them, and while we can never fit all of the projects building on Cardano into the show, we've pulled a few highlights together from just some of the builders we sat down with this year.
Our community has been awesome. Like the Cardano community in general has been great. We started with Cardano. We've since launched on several other chains, but the core of our audience is still a Cardano-based audience, and they've been fantastic. Like we try to do a lot of stuff to give back to the community. They've been really great and supportive of just like kind of a bigger mission of decentralizing knowledge. And so we thought it'd be really cool to have and kind of host our own conference. And so we're bringing together some really top experts from the publishing field, some of our investors that we work with, some authors that have done some projects with us, like individual publishers from publishing houses. And then Charles actually is going to speak as well. So we'll have a couple other blockchains represented there. And it should be a great time just to kind of talk about the future of what putting these bigger, kind of more robust assets on chain outside of just kind of PFP type projects, but like what does a future look like where, these bigger, actual sort of DRM protected assets live on chain, and what does that kind of mean for the future of Web3 and expansion to the mass market, really?
Great to be here. So I'm Marvin Burton. I am the CEO and co-founder of Maestro. So Maestro essentially is an advanced infrastructure provider for Cardano. It provides a dApp development platform that really makes it easy to build dApps. So we offer a set of very powerful APIs and advanced developer tools that really streamlines the dApp development process and allows also like dApps to scale to many users. Sometimes misunderstanding is for releasing a dApp, you just need to build a smart contracts and then you're good to go. But there's a lot more that goes into it, into be able to deploy and run a dApp online on mainnet. And so Maestro really offer all the other building blocks that any developer would need to do that and to streamline that deployment process. The first one is our very popular blockchain indexer. So that's a powerful on-chain data API that gives you access to all the on-chain data, anything from transactions to UTXOs to NFTs, assets, anything that is on-chain, easily available in real time through our API. We also have our transaction manager. So that gives you kind of real-time monitoring of all your transaction state. Imagine your DEX or lending protocol, and you have thousands of transactions happening on your website. You're able to get notifications on when transaction is pending, which transaction is rolled back or on-chain, and you'll be able to create very reactive websites that really improve the user experience for users. And then we have more low-level tools like our turbo transactions. So when the chain is on the load, sometimes it's hard to get your transaction into the mempool. So we help kind of propagate your transaction a bit faster and allow them to get on chain more reliably. And on top of that, we've started building more advanced developer tools that a lot of the community have been asking for. So more recently, we deployed our market price API. So that gives you real-time, price data, candlestick data for either researchers or traders or even people building dashboard, so they can get access to all the live data of all the tokens being traded on Cardano, the prices, but also the number of holders, the circulating supply, the market cap, the price change. And that's very powerful if you want to build, a trading bot, so you want to build some kind of dashboard. And lastly, we have our plug-and-play smart contract. So this is, I would say, our most advanced tools and service on our platform, where it allows you to basically automatically deploy and execute smart contract end-to-end. And so really providing you the full stack of the on-chain code, the off-chain code, the transaction building, and very simply with very low code or no code, be able to deploy and execute contract into your application.
So I've joined Cardano about 2.5 years ago. I started building with a small project called mCoins. And about 1 year ago, me and my co-founder Stanislav, we decided to create a ZK Fold project, which is a project dedicated to scaling Cardano blockchain and the ecosystem with layer 1 and layer 2 products. And our first product is called ZK Fold Symbolic, which is a smart contract programming language for ZK smart contracts. And they extend the capabilities of regular smart contracts. They provide more efficiency in terms of reducing fees and enabling more complex business logic.
My name is Navjeet Doywal, and I'm the CEO and founder of Igon. I've been working on Igon since 2017. Igon is a shared storage and compute economy, basically like a Airbnb for storage and compute. There's a lot been happening at Igon, and we're building out a ecosystem at Igon with a lot of products that are being built on top of the storage and compute. So we have recently launched our Cyclone, which is basically a storage node that people can plug and play at home. So it kind of creates a lower barrier to entry for, let's say, the retail customers and consumers that want to participate in the Web3 economy but don't have the technical know-how. So it's a basically plug and play node which you can just install at home, and simple instructions, and you're online. And we recently kind of previewed that at the Rare Evo event in Las Vegas in August. Yeah.
So Midgard is a framework for building layer 2s, much like Optimism as a stack allows layer 2s to be built on it with their own trade-offs with regards to centralization, with regards to throughput, etc., or feature set. Even you can have custom features. There's a lot of modularity to it. And right now at launch, we're focusing on having, of course, our own first deployment of Midgard, like Optimism is the first deployment of the Optimism stack. But another team is already adopting it to build their layer 2. The Bitcoin OS team is adopting it to build a layer 2 called Sundial. And this is sort of the first case of modularity being taken advantage of, right? The chains will have different properties and specialize in different domains. Outside of that, Midgard, the rollout will be trustless at mainnet at launch. There's no multi-sig, there's no custodian. It inherits maximally the security of Cardano. So you get censorship resistance, you get Cardano's smart contract model. It inherits the same app properties. So an app that is deployed on Cardano mainnet can seamlessly deploy on Midgard because the design is UTXO based. It has the same model. And it allows you to transfer data seamlessly between Midgard and the Cardano layer 1. Not just deposit and withdraw funds, but deposit and withdraw data. Because in UTXO based systems, smart contract protocols data is localized to UTXOs. That means moving smart contract protocols between the two chains, or between the layer 2 and the layer 1, is as easy as moving a UTXO. So it's as easy as sort of depositing funds from a user or withdrawing funds from a user. And this allows you to do some really cool stuff. Imagine you have like a DeFi protocol on Cardano layer 1, and there's a period of high throughput traffic where the network's getting congested. It's a very excited launch, right? You can now move that pool to Midgard in real time as that's happening and move the traffic and handle the traffic on Midgard, right? And this is very exciting.
So thanks to all the builders out there who keep grinding to make Cardano ever better. Cardano wouldn't be what it is today without you, the creators and builders bringing it to life. Without the projects that build on and use the technology, Cardano is just that, a piece of technology. But together, this community has been steadily creating a flourishing ecosystem. And establishing the governance frameworks that will make our ecosystem sustainable and power its ethical growth well into the future has been a massive focus in 2024. In the age of Voltaire, the Cardano community committed to championing a new way forward, a way that truly embarked on creating a constitution for the people, by the people. Arguably, the journey began in 2017 with Charles's original whiteboard video, but this was the year that it started to become real. After an extensive consultation process around SIP 1694, early 2024 saw the establishment of Cardano member-based organisation Intersect to help drive and champion decentralised governance. And so the community went to work, with members spanning nearly every continent sharing ideas and their views of what will be important to Cardano today, tomorrow, and 5, 10, 15 years from now. From budgets to the technical infrastructure needed for projects to remain competitive, the community's involvement illustrated the need for a governance North Star, a constitution to help shape the future direction of where we'd all like to go as a community. Central to this process were the series of constitutional workshops. Over the year, we caught up with some of the workshop hosts who helped develop the draft constitution.
Well, these workshops are a series of gatherings that are happening around the world to bring the community together and discuss the draft constitution for Cardano. The main purpose of these workshops are to get feedback and ideas from people who are directly involved or impacted by the ecosystem and giving them a chance to give their input and their feedback. It's about ensuring that the Cardano's governance isn't decided by a few, but it involves the voices of people globally, and that the community plays a very active role in shaping the governance model that will shape the future of Cardano. We want to ensure this governance model reflects the views and the needs of the diverse community that's in Cardano currently. Everybody should have a say in what needs to go in the constitution, because this is a constitution that will govern the Cardano ecosystem, and it also will be a stepping stone for many other existing and upcoming blockchain networks to look up to.
So I, as you mentioned, hosted the Edinburgh workshop, and my work in Cardano has sort of led me to have lots of links and a community that's based in Scotland.
Is there anything unique about Edinburgh or about Scotland that you think is fed into the constitutional process?
I feel like Edinburgh is deeply connected to Cardano, so it felt good to host there. It felt like a bit of an honour with the connections with the university. As for the community in Scotland, I feel sometimes, it's a fairly remote place in terms of the world. So it felt good to be able to offer that opportunity for people in Scotland to be part of this.
Yeah, was there anything you learned during the workshop that surprised you?
Yeah, I'd say one of the main takeaways from the workshop for me was that diversity of ideas around governance. Everyone had different views, and particularly around what their views of people's roles, like stake pool operators or DREPs or the committee. People had different views about what each of those roles needed to do or what their part was. But the one thing that really struck me was it was clear that everybody valued transparency and inclusion. But as I say, varied opinions on how we can get there or how we can ensure that happens in practice.
So in Cameroon, we organize workshops to teach people about Cardano governance. And it is very important. It is actually very interesting because Cardano governance is all about inclusion, financial inclusion, which is a very important topic in Cameroon because the banking infrastructure doesn't really favor everyone, and it makes day-to-day transactions very difficult and limited. So the Cardano constitution tells us that, hey, you can actually make a decision on what you want to happen with your money, with your future. The Cardano constitution came in as a breath of fresh air, I would say, because it talks about inclusion, it talks about decentralization, which is something that is not very common in our community. And I think that we saw decentralization in the constitution of Cardano as something that we would like to know more about. So during the workshop, we were trying to look at how it is different from our normal constitution and how we can actually improve on it.
So after many months of debate, discussion, deliberation, it was time for delegates from across the world to convene on Buenos Aires and Nairobi for the Constitutional Convention.
Whole community coming together, like changing in this way the narratives of the world is absolutely amazing.
I've been talking with some friends about it the other day, and I said, like, think about how crazy that is outside our own little world, right? We're building a constitution.
My name is Hydra from Osaka, Japan. I voted yes. I voted yes. I voted no.
South Africa, I voted yes.
I voted yes.
We ratified the Constitution, the majority voted yes, but this is not the end. We have a lot of work to do with the governance of Cardano, and yeah, I'm super happy for it and ready to continue to work.
Well, I've really focused about 4 years of my life on this. It's really significant for more than just me. It's my life and everyone around me.
Three days of discussion, 3 days of fellowship, all boiled down to one shared moment. A moment of one collective yes to the Cardano Constitution. And yes to community governance. And yes to a sustainable future for Cardano determined by its people.
My roadmap's over. Your roadmap has begun. The Cardano community's roadmap has begun. And it will be a reflection of the cultures that are here and not represented here. Different names, different stories, but the same concept. We want to make progress. We want to build things. And ultimately, we just want to make the world a better place. It's who we are. It's who you are. It's what you've committed to. All of you, the people in Nairobi, the people here, the people who worked on this, you did one of the most important things you could have ever done for yourself. You gave yourself a life mission. You gave yourself agency. You gave yourself some modicum of control in a world that strips people of meaning and agency and control. If we don't like our money, we're going to make new money. If we don't like our political systems, we're going to make new political systems. If we don't like the way the world works, we're not going to complain about it. We're just going to change it. And guess what? This is how it's done. Not through force or coercion or lies or through bravado. It's by just bringing people together and having people talk to each other, respect each other, listen to each other. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't win, sometimes you make mistakes, sometimes you have wins that are awesome, sometimes not. But you bring them together. You put the flags up. Every one of these is equal. Every person had the same voice and the same vote. And in that collaborative environment, you can do anything. Because at the end of the day, this is not political, this is humanitarian. We don't have a lot of faith in the governing institutions, given how fast technology is changing and the way the world works, that they're going to get it done right and they're going to take care of us. As good as those flags are, they've let us all down in some ways. We're here to remind them that they're here for the consent of the governed and they work for us. We don't work for them. And we're here to remind them that every human right has to be protected. What you have done here today is guarantee that for a cryptocurrency protocol. As we look to the future, it will extend itself beyond the digital world into the physical world, and it will guarantee it for every person and every country. That is the goal. And until we achieve this, we're not done. The work never ends. The trial is never finished. And that's what makes it so much fun. You have something to do when you wake up. So while one roadmap has come to an end, a new roadmap has begun, and it has to be equally audacious to the 25-year-old person, she's 26 or 7, I think. Yeah, 27-year-old person in Osaka, Japan, telling some Japanese people, hey, we're going to build this crazy cryptocurrency, and it's going to change the world. And they looked at me and said, all right, well, let's do it. Only in Japan would they do that. It was pretty audacious. And now I stand before you with something equally audacious. We're going to take this from where we're at, and we're going to make every country in the world run on it, and we're going to take our human rights back, and we're going to live in an amazing world because of it. We'll still have problems. We'll still have the monster of the week to slay. But you know what? It'll be a much better world than the one that we inherited. That's why the labor matters. So, allow me to be the person to say this constitutional convention is adjourned. Congratulations. Let's go put a dent in the universe.
The Constitutional Convention celebrated all that the Cardano community has worked together towards over the last 7 years. With delegates from dozens of countries spanning almost every continent, this month's milestone has truly set the stage for what's to come in 2025. Let's hear from a few of those who were there.
It's really been a nurturing experience, and I think I'm not the only one that feels it. Is that we are not only growing as individuals, but also as a collective intelligence. And I feel if we continue doing this for the next couple of years, it will be hard to measure how much our community will grow in terms of discussions, governance discussion, and collective intelligence.
What this could be, this digital network state that has so much momentum behind it, right? And it has the power to create efficiencies in so many different areas of people's lives, not just business, but in education. It really has the potential to change society in some dramatic ways within the next 10 years. So
it's possible that I will never be able to envision how the next 10 years will be, just because of all the emerging technologies that are coming out, not just blockchain, but also AI, metaverse, and who knows what else is coming out. In 10 years, my blue sky will be that a lot of young African youth, they are programmers, they are creating dApps on Cardano ecosystem. They have skills that ensures their employability, virtually. In 10 years, I'm hoping that Cardano products or even builders, infrastructure, maintenance entities that are outside of Africa are able to extend their runway because they are employing a lot of young people in Africa.
My hopes for the future of Cardano generally would be, in the words of what Charles Hoskinson said, it will become someday the technology of the world. And I hope in that day that we've actually built something that is resilient, that can stand the test, that the world will actually throw at it.
Pressure's off a little bit, but still there's a lot to do to get the constitution actually ratified on chain. So, and we just elected basically the committee that will be working on definitions and other things, the work streams. So there's a lot of work still to do.
But of course the work isn't done. This is just the end of the beginning. And as we look forward to 2025, the future of Cardano starts with you, the community. The constitution approved in Nairobi and Buenos Aires is now moving forwards towards on-chain ratification and needs your vote. You can vote directly, or alternatively now is the time to begin delegating to the D-reps you feel are most closely aligned with your own values, who see the future of Cardano as you do. Decentralised governance has always been about the promise of Cardano, and after the Constitutional Convention, it's never been more real. As we move forwards in a truly self-sustaining ecosystem, it's time for all of us to come together, have our voices heard, and become active members and participants in this community. It's our goal to show that these new governance models can thrive, and that when we work together, we can create a system that's truly fair for everyone, everywhere.
So during the Constitutional Convention, the delegates appointed a period of time between now and the ratification of the Constitution on-chain for everybody in the Cardano community to discuss and write out their ideas about key terms, key ideas, and really the way the Constitution and its intent should be interpreted by the Constitutional Committee going forward. So this represents an opportunity for DREPs, SPOs, but really anybody who holds ADA and is represented by delegating their ADA to a DREP or voting on their own behalf in the ecosystem to be involved in the conversation about how the Constitution itself is interpreted. These documents are then going to be collated by a committee of the delegates and hashed on-chain alongside the Constitution under the category enshrined in the Constitution as supporting guidance. And so again, whether you are just coming to this conversation for the first time, or if you've been lurking for a while and maybe talking with your DREP, make sure that now you have your ADA delegated to a DREP and that you're involved in this conversation. This is not just a category for the next couple of months here. This is really a principle for how the ecosystem will govern itself going forward. And so please do jump into the conversation, get involved.
So while the age of Voltaire is nearly done, the age of governance is only just beginning. 2024 has been an incredible year of progress. Here's to 2025 and all it will bring. Well, that's it for the show. And of course, we couldn't possibly capture everything that happened in 2024. So do check out the playlists and some of the other videos on YouTube to catch up on what else has been happening, whether it's the latest from the folks at Catalyst, a deeper dive into some of the technologies or Charles's keynotes, or from some of the many events throughout the year. And you can learn more about the products that IO and many other builders are creating on Cardano. And don't forget to subscribe to the Essential Cardano newsletter so you can stay up to date on just some of the latest happenings within the ecosystem. So it just leaves me to wish you all a very wonderful holiday season and a very happy new year. We'll see you in 2025.